Back on CBS Sports HQ, presented by Capital One. As if the stars of today are any indication, there are still picks to hit on day 2 and day 3 as we take a look at some of the best available according to our analysts at CBSSports.com. In studio with two of the best who are always available, Rick Spielman, Ryan Wilson, Joe Musso here running point. And I'm just going to get you guys the ball here because we got work to do. Maybe a little bit of sleep between rounds 1 and 2 for these executives, but then it's back on the clock. Rick, I'm coming your way first. Your favorite offensive player on the board still is who? Yeah, I'm looking at all these names, and this is such a top-heavy draft that a lot of these guys we're going to talk about may have been first-rounders in other drafts. Now, the one thing that I think people don't realize is there was only 58 juniors that came out this year, or underclassmen that came out, which was one of the lowest in over a decade, which tells you that this is such a top-heavy draft that these picks on Saturday, there's going to be a lot of guys who are probably more than likely going to be free agents because it's not as thick on the back end. But my top offensive player, and I think the Buffalo Bills will go with him, is A.D. Mitchell. I think he's a raw, talented, athletic receiver that has tremendous upside. He can stretch the field deep. He improved as he went through Texas. I know he transferred there this past year, but I think he has the biggest upside. I'm going to go with the guy at the top of this list here, Ladd McConkey. I've been talking him up for months now. Rick's guy has been Ricky Pearsall in terms of potential sleepers in the first round, and Ladd was my guy. I thought he made sense at the bottom of the first round, especially if the Bills had stayed there. Rick says A.D. Mitchell makes sense for the Bills at the top. Maybe a team like the Patriots think about a Ladd McConkey when they get on the clock a few picks into the second round. You see him here all day long creating separation. He's under 6 feet. He's a shade under 190. He ran in the 4.3s, and he plays that fast. One of the reasons he may have fallen, in addition to what Rick talked about, just in terms of so much depth in the first round, he struggled to stay healthy, and that's a concern. But in terms of separation, getting open at every level, and being a dominant player, I think Ladd McConkey's that guy, and I would imagine Drake May, who didn't always have the receivers to throw to at UNC, would love to throw to someone like that should he end up in New England. Not enough separation between McConkey and McCorkle for me, but that's got nothing to do with anything. Too soon, maybe? Let's get to the defensive side of the ball here, Ryan. Your favorite available right now, because we were skewed towards the offense, especially early in round 1. Is there some round 1 talent still alive in round 2? Yeah, absolutely. And Rick and I, you were talking about Johnny Newton, the defensive tackle out of Illinois. We were talking about him early in the season before Byron Murphy II came on the scene, and we thought he was a first-round pick all day. Suffered a foot injury, didn't take part in the pre-draft process for the most part, but I don't think teams were concerned enough about the foot for him to fall out of the first round. I think it's, again, what you just talked about, all the other players getting pushed up. And, you know, defensive tackle is important, but clearly there were other needs that teams felt were more important. But he is an absolutely twitched-up interior defensive lineman. You see the juice there off the edge, and that's all over his tape. He can play inside primarily, but he played on that really good Illinois team 2 years ago that had Devin Witherspoon, the first-round pick. Sidney Brown got drafted in day 2, as did Quan Martin. And I think day 2 now is going to be where we see Johnny Newton go off the board. I would imagine the first 10 picks, unless there's something we don't know. No, he's going to go in the first 10 picks, probably in the first 5 picks. He's too talented of a football player, and it's hard to find defensive tackles, and he has first-round defensive tackle ability. Taking a look at somebody who's going to prove somebody right. That's where I want to go next here. These GMs, you start getting to a part of the draft where you can take a little bit more risk, assume some more of that. Second round, who's a guy that, Rick, you like to prove somebody right? Yeah, I think it's Cooper DeJean, the Iowa corner / nick / safety. I think he's the most versatile DB left on the board. A lot of teams that I talked to thought that he was going to move him to safety, but I think he's very instinctive. I think he has more than enough talent to try a corner first. Excellent ball skills. He's a great punt returner, so he's going to come in and help someone immediately right there. If you watch the Minnesota game, we talked to him about it on the stage. Just wave your hand a little higher so you don't get a touchdown called back. But this kid is a great athlete. They can play multiple positions. I think he's going to help someone right away. I'm going to say the secondary too, Joe, and I'm going to go with Kool-Aid McKinstry. A year ago, we saw Joey Porter Jr. last at the top of the second round, and he more than paid off dividends-wise once he got on the field. The concern was that maybe he was a little stiff, and that's why he fell out in the first round. Maybe he wasn't fast enough because he ran in the 4.5s. Kool-Aid is plenty fast. He ran 4.47 as his foot healed when he wasn't able to compete at the combine. He's not
I don't compare him comp-wise to Joey Porter Jr., but I think the fact that he fell out of the first round, a team is going to be getting a huge bargain in round 2 for one of the best cornerbacks in this class, Joe, and the cornerback who was considered the best cornerback in this class going back to the summer heading into the 2023 season.
Ryan Wilson and Rick Spielman with us all weekend long until they deem someone irrelevant. Nothing more relevant than this moment right here. Thank you, gentlemen. Here's a look at the first 10 picks coming in round 2 again. All your coverage right here on CBS Sports HQ. It'll go Bills, Pats, Cards, Commanders as we roll into round 2 of the draft.